The very last part here for Chapter 2 is a question that invariably I get asked when it comes to computers of all sorts. So whether or not that's a phone, a tablet, a desktop, a laptop, etc. And that is, all this knowledge is well and good about storage and input and output, but let's get down to the part where you tell me how to spend my money even more expediently on some piece of technology that I needed, or at least I wanted. And that's greedy. I'll tell you right away that's a little greedy, but it didn't even take till the end of Chapter 2 to get that far, but here we go. So here I am just on Best Buy's site, and what I can tell you is my advice is try to be as independent as possible. You can have your opinions, whether or not they're right, whether or not they're earned, it doesn't really matter. You can have your opinions as to one kind of computer or another. You can have your opinions as to one kind of brand or manufacturer or another. But it doesn't really matter. If that manufacturer makes a product that meets your needs, that makes them the best manufacturer for the product that meets your needs. It really doesn't matter. So I just suggest the following, and that's actually why I picked Best Buy. Is first and foremost, the product is going to be useless if you can't interact with it in a way that makes you happy. So whether or not that's a tablet or a desktop or a laptop, go in and try it first. Try to type on it. See if the keys are comfortable. Try to use the trackpad on a laptop. I actually worked at a popcorn store when I was in high school. And the pads of my right fingers, my middle finger, my index finger, and my thumb are burnt off, essentially. So it's really unusual for me to find a trackpad that works with my right hand, which is a real problem because I'm a lefty, and many trackpads are actually defaulted for right-handed people, which is not me. So I have found it useful for me to go in and test the trackpads on things as we go through. Next, don't get a tablet if you need to do schoolwork on it. The software we have to support that just is not here yet. For us in this class, you're not going to get access. So that means you have to go to a desktop anyway. That means you might not have a full desktop version of a browser just in case you need something for another class. I feel like I cannot recommend you can do all of your work unless you are supremely confident and you are supremely well read up on everything that goes into, what is it that makes it okay to use an iPad or an Android tablet as a primary device. Now, for couch surfing, for watching Netflix, for just, banging out the occasional email, yeah, they're great. They can work for that. An Android or an iOS tablet are fine. But for the most part, maybe not. Chromebooks, if we scroll down just a little bit here, everything I need to remember is always on the front page at Best Buy. A Chromebook also just isn't there yet. It is true that you get a full version of Chrome on a Chromebook, but everything else has a string of caveats associated with it. Do I get the real version of Microsoft Office? No, not really. It's close, but no, not really. Can I run specialized software? Nope, not at all. What happens if I have a really crappy internet connection? Well, you're going to have a really crappy experience with a Chromebook. I have had numerous students, even ones who, build careers around being tech savvy, really burn out on using a Chromebook at school, essentially. So that would be my suggestion to you. Next, past that, really what you've got is Windows and Mac. I am not here to start a fight with the Linux weirdos in the room. I can use Linux too. It's just that it's not worth the additional hundreds of thousands of hours of my life to get every last little thing to work properly. So if you really like to play and you have a liberal definition of what disappointment is, Linux boxes are really kind of great for that stuff. Windows and Mac, here are the things I can tell you. You've got expensive, you've got inexpensive, and you've got really inexpensive computers for Windows. Usually the really inexpensive computers come at a substantial ergonomics penalty. So the trackpad will be bad, the keyboard will be bad, the display will be bad. So that's something you'll want to consider. The mid-range laptops oftentimes are just fine. The most recommended I can give you, or the highest recommendation I can give you on a mid-range, so $850 to about $1,000 for a laptop, is a Dell XPS. They are really very, very nice machines. But if you find you don't like the trackpads, if you find you don't like the keyboards, great. There's a ton of options out there for you. On the Mac side, there's fewer options. The MacBook Air and the MacBook, both of them are really small and thin, and as long as you don't have really graphics intensive stuff you need to do, for around $1,000 they can be had, and are really pretty solid. There are, of course, more expensive versions to go for, and my suggestion is, if you are just looking for a device to get you through school for the next 2 or 4 years, don't spend more than $1,000. Just stick at that price point. Don't go nuts on a gaming laptop. Don't go nuts on some, high-end photo laptop. Just, stay at the mid-range of things. The lower machines you're going to have to replace more often, and they really are not a cost savings in the long run. If you can hit that 750 to 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 at the outside mark, you're probably going to buy a machine that's going to last you a while. You're probably going to buy a machine that has good ergonomics, and you're probably going to buy a machine that isn't going to be total and complete garbage by the time it is you're looking to advance to whatever your next desktop or laptop is going to be.